The Austin humidity hits me like a wall as I step out of my Uber, laptop bag slung over my shoulder. I'm Cameron Brooks, 26, and I've just wrapped up a tech conference downtown. My parents' house is only an hour away, and Mom had texted yesterday, asking if I could grab some old tax documents from Dad's home office. While I was in the area, I punch in the garage code, still my birthday after all these years, and let myself into the cool, air-conditioned interior. The house smells like Mom's lavender candles and Dad's coffee. I kick off my shoes by the door, a habit from childhood that never quite left me. Dad's office is cluttered as always, filing cabinets overflowing, sticky notes covering his desk. I'm searching through the third drawer when I find a folder labeled Property Management Confidential. Curious, I flip it open. What I see makes my blood run cold. Rental income statements from four properties I didn't know existed. Properties in San Marcos, New Braunfels, Fredericksburg, and Bernie. Combined monthly income, $8,400. But it's the next document that makes my hands shake. A spreadsheet titled Cameron's Contributions. Row after row of dates and amounts. Every emergency I'd helped with over the past 4 years, meticulously logged. The $15,000 for Dad's medical bills that he said insurance wouldn't cover. The $22,000 for Mom's business startup that never materialized. The $31,000 for property tax arrears they claimed would result in foreclosure. Total $68,000. But here's what destroys me. In the column labeled Purpose, every single entry says the same thing. Rental property down payments and renovations. I sink into Dad's leather chair, the one I sat in as a kid while he taught me about compound interest. My software developer salary, earned through countless late nights debugging code and weekend hackathons, had funded their real estate empire. Every Venmo request marked urgent had been a calculated extraction. I hear the garage door opening. They're home early. My first instinct is to confront them immediately. But something stops me. Maybe it's the developer in me, the part that values evidence and documentation before deploying any major change. I pull out my phone and photograph every page in the folder. 17 photos total, each one a betrayal. I close the folder carefully, exactly as I found it, and grab the tax documents Mom requested from the top drawer. By the time they walk through the door, I'm standing in the kitchen with a smile I don't feel. Cameron, we didn't expect you until later, Mom says, pulling me into a hug that now feels contaminated. Conference ended early, I say, my voice steady despite the earthquake inside me. Found those tax docs you needed. Dad pats my shoulder, and I wonder how many times he practiced that warm, grateful expression in the mirror. I leave 10 minutes later, documents in hand, with a promise to visit for Sunday dinner. I won't be keeping that promise. Back in my Austin apartment that night, I spread printed copies of the photos across my dining table. My roommate Sarah, a paralegal, walks in with takeout and freezes. Cameron, what is all this? Evidence that my parents have been lying to me for 4 years. I walk her through it systematically, the way I'd present code to my team. Each emergency perfectly timed to when I received promotions or bonuses. The $15,000 medical emergency came 3 days after I mentioned my first big raise at work. The business startup request arrived the week my annual bonus hit my account. They've been tracking your income? Sarah's face hardens with the kind of anger I can't quite access yet. I'm still in analysis mode. Look at this. I pull up my banking app, scrolling through years of transaction history. Every transfer to my parents is labeled exactly as they requested. Medical help, business loan, tax emergency. I'd even added heart emojis to some of them. Sarah starts taking notes. Do you have any written communication about paying these back? I open my text messages. There in black and white are Dad's promises. This is just temporary, Mia. We'll pay you back once the business takes off. Consider it a loan, not a gift. We'll settle up soon. You know we're good for it, Cameron. But here's the thing that makes my stomach turn. I'd never expected repayment. They'd raised me to believe that family obligation flowed one way from younger to older, from child to parent. My older brother, Diego, had been exempt from these requests because he had 3 kids to support. I was single, successful, and therefore available for extraction. Cameron, this is financial exploitation, Sarah says gently. You know that, right? I do now, but for 4 years, I'd interpreted it as love, as family, as the natural order of things. Sarah pulls up her laptop. My firm handles some family law cases. Let me reach out to someone. While she types, I create a new spreadsheet, my language, my comfort zone. I calculate everything. The $68,000 in direct transfers. The current estimated value of the 4 rental properties I find there. Addresses in the documents. The monthly passive income they're generating that they never mentioned. Those properties purchased with my money are now worth approximately $1.2 million combined. The monthly rental income is $8,400. which annually is over $100,000. My phone buzzes. It's Mom, looking forward to Sunday dinner. Diego and the kids will be there too. Love you. I stare at the message for a long moment, then screenshot it and add it to a new folder on my phone labeled Evidence, next to the 17 photos from Dad's office, next to the banking transactions, next to the text messages promising repayment. I'm not a lawyer or a financial analyst. I'm a software developer, but what I am is very good at identifying patterns and fixing broken systems. The law firm Sarah recommended occupies the 15th floor of a downtown Austin high-rise. Attorney Patricia Chen is 40-something, with sharp eyes and a reputation for winning complicated family disputes. Walk me through the timeline, she says, spreading my printed evidence across her conference table. I present it the way I'd present a technical architecture review, chronologically, systematically, with supporting documentation for every claim. She takes notes on a yellow legal pad, occasionally pausing to examine specific documents more closely. Here's what you have, Patricia says after I finish. Clear documentation of fraudulent inducement they solicited, funds under false pretenses. You have their written promises of repayment, which establishes these as loans, not gifts. You have proof they used your money to acquire income-generating assets without your knowledge or consent. What are my options? We could pursue several angles. Fraud, breach of contract, unjust enrichment, given that they used your funds to purchase rental properties. We could argue for equitable interest in those properties proportional to your contribution. The number crystallizes in my mind. $68,000 out of $1.2 million in current property value. That's roughly 5.6% equity. Patricia nods approvingly. Plus we factor in the rental income they've collected using properties purchased with your money. You didn't just contribute to down payments, you enabled their entire rental business model. Over the next week, I do what I do best. I document everything. I create a database with columns for date, amount, their stated purpose, actual purpose, evidence type, and file location. I export for years of banking records and create visualizations, showing the correlation between my income increases and their requests. I discover more. An Instagram post from Mom's account showing her and Dad at a Fredericksburg property with the caption, "Our latest investment." Rental property owners building wealth, posted 2 weeks after. I sent them $12,000. For what they claimed was emergency home foundation repair. Sarah helps me file Freedom of Information requests for property records. When they arrive, I see my parents purchased all 4 properties within 18 months, the exact period when my emergency contributions were highest. My brother Diego calls. "Hey, are you coming to Sunday dinner?" Mom's worried you've been avoiding her calls. I haven't told Diego yet. Part of me knows he'll side with them, he always has. The golden child who gave them grandchildren, while I was the reliable one who gave them money. Been busy with work, I say. Come on, Cameron. Family is family. That phrase used to comfort me. Now it sounds like a threat. Patricia files the initial complaint on a Friday afternoon. Brooks v. Brooks, I'm suing my parents for fraud, seeking equitable interest in their rental property portfolio, proportional to my documented contributions. The process server delivers it to their San Antonio home that evening, during what I imagine was their usual Friday night wine on the patio, counting rental checks, planning their next acquisition. I don't call to explain. They taught me that actions speak louder than words. The phone calls start at 6:47 a.m. Saturday morning. 17 missed calls by the time I wake up at 9. Mom, Dad, Diego, Aunt Rosa, 2 cousins, and my grandmother Abuela Carmen. I listen to one voicemail, just one. It's Dad, his voice shaking with what sounds like genuine confusion, but I now recognize his performance. Mia, what is this? A lawsuit against your own parents? Call me immediately. This is insane. We can work this out as a family. Sarah, brewing coffee in our kitchen, watches me delete it. Don't respond directly. Everything goes through Patricia now, but the pressure campaign is just beginning. By noon, my phone has exploded with text messages. Diego, Cameron, what the hell? You're suing Mom and Dad over money they used to help the family. Aunt Rosa, your mother is in tears. How could you be so cruel? They gave you everything. Abuela Carmen, Mia, family doesn't do this. Call me, please. What hurts most is that part of me still wants to call them back. To explain, to make them understand. For years of conditioning doesn't evaporate with a lawsuit filing. Then Patricia forwards me something that hardens my resolve. It's an email chain she obtained through legal discovery between my parents and Diego, dated 8 months ago. Dead to Diego, Cameron got another promotion, going to ask her to help with the Bernie property down payment. Diego's response, does she know you're building a rental portfolio? Seems like she thinks these are actual emergencies. Mom's reply, what she doesn't know won't hurt her. She's making good money and has no kids to support. She can afford it. Diego, okay, but if she finds out? Dad, she won't. Cameron trusts family. I read it 3 times, each word a small detonation. My brother knew, not just suspected knew, and said nothing. Patricia calls that evening. They've lawyered up, hired Marcus Webb from a firm in San Antonio. He's already filed a motion to dismiss, claiming these were gifts between family members with no expectation of repayment. But I have text messages where Dad explicitly calls them loans. Exactly, which is why their motion will fail. But Cameron, I need you to prepare for this getting uglier. Family lawsuits always do. She's right. By Sunday, I'm tagged in a Facebook post from a distant cousin I haven't spoken to in 5 years. Some people value money over family. Sad to see what greed does to people. Disappointed, Mom posts a photo of her and Dad looking somber. Caption, when your own child turns against you, you learn who your real family is. Heartbroken. 43 comments of support. Not one person knows the truth. I could fight this PR battle. Post the evidence publicly. Humiliate them the way they're trying to humiliate me. Instead, I screenshot everything and send it to Patricia. Evidence of harassment and defamation, she replies. Helps our case. I'm learning to let the system work. The deposition takes place in Patricia's conference room on a Tuesday morning. My parents arrive with their attorney Marcus Webb, a silver-haired man in an expensive suit, who looks like he specializes in making problems disappear. I haven't seen them in person since I discovered the folder in Dad's office 6 weeks that feel like 6 years. Mom won't look at me. Dad's jaw is tight, his eyes hard in a way I've never seen directed at me before. Patricia begins with Dad, Mr. Brooks. Did you maintain a spreadsheet documenting your daughter's financial contributions to your family? Yes, but that was just for record keeping. A spreadsheet specifically labeled Cameron's contributions, correct? Yes, and next to each contribution, you noted the actual purpose of the funds, which in every case was rental property down payments and renovations. Correct? Dad shifts in his seat. We used her help to build assets for the whole family's future. Did you tell Cameron that's what you were using her money for? Silence. Mr. Brooks, please answer the question. No, but did you instead solicit these funds by claiming medical emergencies, business needs, and tax arrears? Marcus interjects. My client isn't required to disclose every detail of family financial planning. Patricia doesn't blink. Your client solicited $68,000 from his daughter under false pretenses. That's fraud, not family financial planning. She slides a stack of documents across the table. Text messages, each one a lie, each one documented. Mr. Brooks, is this your phone number? Yes. And did you send these messages to Cameron requesting financial help? Yes, but the context. In this message from March 15, 2021, you wrote emergency medical bills. Insurance won't cover. Need $15,000 urgent. Was that true? I did have medical bills. How much were they? Dad glances at Marcus, who nods reluctantly. About $3,000. So you inflated the amount by 500% and solicited $12,000 more than needed. Where did that excess money go? Toward the San Marcos property down payment. Dad admits quietly. The room goes still. Mom's deposition is worse. She breaks down crying, which I recognize now as a manipulation tactic she's used my entire life. When Patricia asks about the Instagram post celebrating our latest investment, Mom claims she was just excited about their retirement planning. Mrs. Brooks, did you ever consider that using your daughter's money, without her knowledge or consent might be wrong? She's our daughter. We raised her. Family helps family. But this help only went one direction, didn't it? You never contributed to Cameron's student loans, car purchase, or apartment deposit, despite having growing income from rental properties she unknowingly financed. Mom's crying intensifies. I feel nothing watching it now. It's performing, not pain. Diego's deposition is scheduled for next week. I'm almost curious to hear how he'll justify his knowing silence. Patricia closes her folder. I think we have what we need. Outside, Dad tries to approach me in the parking garage. Patricia steps between us. All communication goes through counsel, she says firmly. I walk away without looking back. The Bexar County Courthouse in San Antonio is smaller than I expected. Judge Andrea Morales presides, a woman in her 60s with a no-nonsense reputation for family financial cases. Patricia's opening statement is surgical. This case is about parents who exploited their daughter's love and trust to build a rental property empire. The evidence will show systematic fraud spanning for years and $68,000 in solicited funds obtained under false pretenses. Marcus Webb counters with emotion. This is a family tragedy. Parents who made sacrifices raising their daughter, asking for help in their later years, now being punished by a daughter who values money over family bonds. But emotion doesn't hold up against evidence. Patricia presents my spreadsheet, blown up on a screen for the court. Every contribution, every false claim, every property purchase that coincided with my emergency payments. She plays a recording. I'd forgotten I had a voicemail from Dad after I sent the $22,000 for Mom's business startup. In it, he says, thanks Mia. This investment is going to change everything for us. Investment, not business startup investment. The rental property records come next. purchase dates, down payment amounts, mortgage documents, each one mapping perfectly to my contribution timeline. Then Patricia calls me to the stand. Cameron, why did you continue sending money even as your parents' requests grew larger? I take a breath, gathering words I've practiced with my therapist. Because I loved them. Because they raised me to believe that family obligation meant I should help without question. Because I wanted their approval. Did you ever suspect they were lying about the emergencies? No, I trusted them completely. When did that trust break? When I found a folder in my father's office documenting every penny I'd sent them and revealing they'd used my money to purchase rental properties without my knowledge. Marcus cross-examines, trying to paint me as vindictive. Isn't it true you're simply angry that your parents succeeded in building wealth? No, I'm angry that they built wealth using my money while lying about why they needed it. Your parents never forced you to send these funds. They manipulated me using fabricated emergencies. That's fraud, not family support. Diego testifies for our parents, claiming they always intended to include me in their rental business eventually. Patricia destroys this in cross-examination by presenting the email where Diego acknowledged I didn't know the truth. If they intended to include her, why did you write? Does she know you're building a rental portfolio? Seems like she thinks these are actual emergencies. Diego stammers. I just meant, you meant that your parents were deceiving your sister, and you chose not to tell her. The financial expert Patricia hired testifies next. Based on my $68,000 contribution to properties now worth $1.2 million, he calculates my equitable interest at 8.3%, accounting for appreciation and rental income collected. Judge Morales takes only 2 hours to deliberate. This court finds that the plaintiffs, Mr. and Mrs. Brooks, engaged in a systematic pattern of fraudulent inducement to obtain funds from their daughter, Cameron Brooks, under false pretenses. Judge Morales's voice is firm, cutting through the tension in the courtroom. My hands are folded on the table in front of me, but I can feel them trembling. The evidence presented demonstrates clear intent to deceive. The defendant documented the plaintiff's contributions meticulously well, misrepresenting the purpose of solicited funds. This behavior constitutes fraud. Mom makes a small sound in her throat. Dad sits stone-faced, staring at the judge. Furthermore, the court finds that Ms. Brooks is entitled to equitable interest in the rental properties purchased with her contributions. Based on expert testimony and documented evidence, the court awards Ms. Brooks 8.3% equity in the 4 properties located in San Marcos, New Braunfels, Fredericksburg, and Bernie. 8.3% of $1.2 million. Patricia squeezes my hand under the table. Additionally, Ms. Brooks is entitled to 8.3% of all rental income collected since property acquisition, minus reasonable expenses. The defendants are ordered to provide complete financial accounting within 30 days. Marcus Webb stands. Your Honor, my client's request time to appeal. Motion denied. The evidence in this case is overwhelming and the legal standard clear. This judgment is effective immediately. Judge Morales looks directly at my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Brooks, you betrayed your daughter's trust for financial gain. You documented your deception in writing. This court cannot and will not sanction such behavior under the guise of family obligation. She bangs her gavel. This court is adjourned. In the hallway afterward, reporters wait. This case made local news. The human interest angle of family financial abuse resonated. Patricia handles them smoothly. Ms. Brooks is relieved that the court recognized the systematic exploitation she endured. She hopes this verdict helps others recognize similar patterns in their own families. I don't speak to the cameras. I don't need to. My phone buzzes with messages from people I haven't heard from in years. Some supportive, some angry, some just curious. I turn it off. Patricia and I go to a quiet cafe near her office. Over coffee, she explains the next steps. The defendants have 30 days to provide financial accounting, then another 60 to arrange the equity transfer. They'll likely offer to buy you out rather than give you ongoing ownership stake. Patricia explains, 8.3% of $1.20 million is roughly $99,600 plus your share of rental income collected, probably another $25,000, $30,000. Between $125,000 and $130,000. Not quite double my original contribution, but close. And more importantly, vindication. What they did to you is more common than people realize, Patricia says. Adult children supporting parents who manipulate their guilt and love for financial gain. Most never sue because family pressure is too intense. I almost didn't, I admit. But you did, and you won. Outside, the San Antonio sunset paints the sky orange and purple. I feel lighter than I have in months. 3 months later, I'm standing in the doorway of my new place, a small house in East Austin with a yard and space for a home office. The check from my parents' attorney cleared last week. $128,450. my 8.3%. Equity buyout plus rental income share. I put half in investments, used a quarter for this house down payment, and set aside the rest for an emergency fund. A real one this time, not one that gets drained by manufactured family crises. Sarah helps me unpack boxes in the kitchen. How does it feel, owning a place that's actually yours? Weird, I admit. Good weird. My new therapist, Dr. Patel, has been helping me process what she calls financial trauma and familial exploitation. In our last session, she said something that stuck. You weren't responsible for their behavior, but you are responsible for protecting yourself going forward. I blocked my parents' numbers after the settlement. Diego sent one email trying to reconcile, but it was full of justifications and minimization. I didn't respond. Abuela Carmen is the only family member I still talk to. She called after the verdict crying, apologizing for initially taking their side. I didn't understand, she said in Spanish. I thought you were being cruel, but your mother, she lied to all of us. Turns out my parents told the extended family that I refused to help them with legitimate emergencies, that I was greedy and cold. Abuela was horrified when I sent her copies of the court documents. They used your love against you, she said. That's the worst betrayal. My work team at the software company threw me a housewarming party. These people, who have no obligation to me beyond professional collaboration, showed up with wine and pizza and genuine happiness for my fresh start. Chosen family, I'm learning, is more reliable than blood. I've started volunteering with a financial literacy nonprofit, teaching young adults how to recognize financial manipulation and set boundaries. When I share my story anonymously, I see recognition in their eyes. I'm not unique. I'm just one of many who've been exploited by people who claim to love them. Last week, I drove past my parents' San Antonio house. I didn't stop, didn't even slow down, just noted its existence and kept moving forward. I heard through Abuela that they sold two of the rental properties to cover legal fees in the settlement. Part of me feels guilty about that. The old Cameron, the one who sent money, without question still exists, somewhere inside me. But the new Cameron, the one who understands that love without respect isn't. Really, love is stronger. I'm sitting on my new back porch as the sun sets. Laptop open, working on a project that excites me. My phone is silent. My bank account is mine. My decisions are my own. The old brass numbers on the mailbox catch the fading light. My address, my home, my foundation. No one can take this from me. The end.